Convention of Human Rights is a little bit in favor of the status quo. So it precludes the possibility of adding new rights that are today not perceived or used by the international practice as legitimate grounds for intervention, as legitimate grounds for intervention in the future. So I'm saying that one of the main problems with the political interpretation is that it's not clear how they perceive the change that human rights may have throughout time, or the way we perceive of them throughout time. So, okay, that's about the political interpretation. I still don't see the connection between this kind of debate and, for example, what you were saying about Nigeria.
Nigeria and actually our intervention, because I think it prevents from making this kind of mistakes again. It prevents, because the argument of the ethical arguments that Massimo presented, the ethical foundations that are arguments that he presented for interventions, it's beautiful, yes, but it's also it also allows this kind of abuse.
Well, okay, now I understand. All right, well, let's talk about again Rwanda, okay? Before Rwanda, there was no document such as the responsibility to protect. What happened in the time span that goes from 1994, the Rwanda massacre, and the 2001, when the document, the responsibility to protect, was issued? Now, what happened is that there was a moral outcry in the international community saying, no, we cannot let that happen again. So there was a kind of reaction of the ethical sensitivities of people and peoples around the world, creating a sort of widespread consensus on the fact that we need to have criteria that help us next time a crisis of this magnitude happens, that we can respond promptly. And this commission was set up on the initiative of the Canadian government. And what they did was, on the one, not accidentally, on the one hand, the scholarly work on, what they thought these criteria for legitimate interventions were. And on the other hand, something that people often forgets, they held a series of public conferences and public meetings with representatives of cultures around the world to check whether their theoretical proposals were well received or not. And it's only at the end of this two-tiered, double-fold approach that they issued the document that we have today, which was then also ratified by the General Assembly. So, the way in which the document was built and constructed, I think, is a wonderful explanation, or is a good way of understanding how this dialectic I was referring to usually works. So on the one hand, you have moral, philosophical reasoning. On the other hand, you need to have consensus in the international practice, as Ras would put it. But I would not say that the international practice is the only thing that counts in the way in which Rawls and Ras do, because this means to forget about one part of the story that is more the ethical or philosophical reflections on the things that we think are most urgent.
Let's make a
Pause.
15 minutes pause.
All right.